Okay, before the break, we did our first quick little pass at what those buttons are going to be. We'll do something. I was thinking we could do something quick here, uh, just to get some movement and look at a few of the options. But y'all are probably already thinking that you need time to go around there and click on it on your own, right? Instead of just watching me click on buttons and figure out what they do. But we'll go through an example. I'm thinking about 45 minutes just to do like platform. We can not really a platform. I don't want to say platformer game, but like ground and then some things that we can jump onto, and gravity's constantly pulling us down, heavy holes to fall into, and we'll just adjust this like that. Right before you came back in, did you leave a mouse in here by chance? Okay, I was just checking. There's one sitting up here, so I don't know whose it was. That seems like a good little introduction to this, and then really, you don't know how to learn software. You learn best by just spending time clicking around on it. Something in 45 minutes would give us some of the key ideas of a start on a platformer, and then y'all can do that clicking around afterwards to get used to it familiar with the software. Probably won't even have a scrolling thing, but I'll just use this game piece right here. And notice there's like minimize stuff so we can get it out of the way. There's ways to organize stuff. Probably need a new sprite. So I'll create a new sprite here for, I'll just call it platform. That sounds good. Yeah. Not going to spend time to make a full platform game, but something to give us like a platform. So our character is 32 by 32, so that's probably a reasonable size to start our game with. You'll notice that on that first one, I drew the image first and then started trying to adjust it and started getting problems. Order makes a big difference, but the only way you're going to really learn about that order is by trial and error, right? Like we saw that if we draw the image first, when we're using the editor right here in the game engine, drawing the image first and then changing the size is problematic. So yeah, make sure you pay attention to things like that. Maybe this time we could change the size first. So this is gonna be like a platform, so I'm gonna do like 32 by 128. That'll give it a nice spot for our character to stand on. And now if we got to edit image, we can get a better idea of what it's going to look like. Something looks like ground, so I'm going to find a brown color here that looks brown. Actually, that doesn't look brown. None of those look brown. Maybe this one's brown, and then draw like a box. I think this is box, yeah. So I'll fill this entire area with a box. And now I can come back with pencil and maybe something green to do like grass along the bottom. Start down, something like that, up and down. I'm going to make sure it's up with the left side, or is at least close to it. Might not be perfect here. I can't lose my hand. Fill that in. There we go. Hard to tell if that right side and left side match up, right? So I'm gonna grab a little, just the very edge here, and copy that to paste in over here. Bring it over here. Whoops. Taking the wrong spot. I can't tell what the top is. And other software is easier to tell where the top and bottom are, but now the left and right side line up. So if we put two of them together, it's going to look like they match up. An even easier way to do that would be just to draw half of the box, half of it, and then copy and paste that and do the mirror image, flip it over or something. That'll work for now. No, doesn't have to be perfect here, right? This isn't the final version. We just need some working graphics, That's something we'll do over and over again, right? So we come back over to space. This is going to be platform, right? Set it up with size already, and collision mode is automatic. It's kind of set so that looks like we're using the top left corner. So for consistency, I'm going to come up to that sprite we did earlier and set the origin to the top left corner again. Which you notice we can also type in right in these numbers. Like if you know what pixel it is, there's boxes to type it in. But again, that's the clicking around finding things. So now everything should snap to the grid. It's 32 by 32 and 32 by 128. Does that go evenly? Should probably make sure that our numbers match up. That's just a good habit to have, right? I just chose powers of 2. Saying yes or no. Does anybody know? Can anybody do that without doing a full calculation? I grabbed the calculator. Does 32 go into 128 evenly? Both powers are 2, right? Well, we know numbers. 2 to the 5th and 2 to the 8th. So does 5 go into 8 evenly? So those numbers don't actually line up, right? So we might want to change our picture a little bit. I'm just going to go with it, but you want to pay attention to stuff like that because it's going to make a difference in our grid. Our grid's 32 by 32, but punching in the calculator, 128 divided by 32 is 4. So it works out. But think about the exponents. 2 to the 8th and 2 to the 5th, there's that difference of 3. If you're using even numbers like that, or just grab a calculator and check. Keep little scraps of paper, someplace to write down. Organize your thoughts goes a long way. So that gets us our sprite image. I'm going to take and kind of line it up. To move these around, you have to select it and then click that area that's sort of green. That way things line up nicely. Over here. Oh, looks like I put it in the wrong folder though. The platform sprite should probably be dragged down to the sprite folder. Just for organization. But that's just file management, right? I think everybody already knew that you could drag files between different folders. So I'll go back to the object folder and let's turn that sprite into an object we can use in our game. So this will be the platform. Choose from our sprites. Whoops, not the player sprite. All right. Okay, it's a single click thing. I'm used to double clicking, and double clicking, we just select the one underneath it. So choose that. Our platform's pretty much just going to sit there, right? What happens is it all depends on our player, right? When our player, gravity's pulling our player down. So whenever our player collides with the background and the sprite already has that boundary on it, that's really what this collision mask thing is. What automatic, is it the full image we created? Do we want to manually set a size? I think automatic is just going to do the out. Automatic will go with what it thinks is best. So like here, we filled up our entire rectangle. So it's going to think the boundary is the entire rectangle. But on the player, the automatic, notice it doesn't necessarily go into the full, it doesn't use the full image because our image isn't the top. our image is centered in that window. But oops, gotta be careful where you scroll. You set it to the full image that might line up and keep everything on the grid. Manually, we could choose where collision. But the boundary we've talked about what boundaries are before. And notice that goes with our sprite. And unlike what we saw in Pie Game, it's not a separate thing from our sprite where we have to deal with it. Our ground can just kind of sit there. I think most of our stuff's going to happen with the player. So I'm going to bring in, come back over here, and I will stand up some platforms. There's a way to like keep clicking. I can't remember what it is. So I'm just going to keep dragging them in and placing them. So like maybe there, and set a little, looks like a good starting point. If I select this, I can drag it over here. So our character starts there. Another platform to jump through there. One down there. There's some like stairs going, and up here. Maybe, maybe not. That'll probably be enough. Give us some sort of objective to go to. But places we can fall down, places we'll stop falling, something to jump between. The rest of it would just be the storyline of our game, right? Why are we jumping between those platforms? What are we trying to do when we get to the end one? Or maybe we're not even trying to get to the end one. We're trying to get to one in the middle, or the storyline of the game. That's how we place the images to tell the story. But we need some things to happen, so that's going to be in our objects. Everybody okay with that so far? Nothing too fancy. As while we're at it, we could go to background, and notice we have that open editor for the background like we do for a sprite. We open the editor. Oh, well, wants me to create a new sprite. I put it in the wrong spot, but I'm in workspace now. Did I create one? There it is. Okay. Let's so maybe a background sprite, nothing too fancy, just something that looks like clouds or sky with clouds in it, maybe. I can zoom in enough to get to the button, edit the image. There we go. I'll take a blue color and just draw a big rectangle. And just fill it in. I probably okay. Fill it in with that, and then maybe grab some white and draw a cloud or two. Might not be the final version of the game. I didn't adjust the size or anything. I just went with whatever that is. We'll see why here in a second. But I think it's pretty creative. Name is going to be Sky, I guess. And now if we're going to, we can choose them as a and then we have options, so we could horizontally just kind of fills it in all the way across. Obviously, column vertical is the same way. We click both of those, or just stretch that one image out to cover the whole area, however you want to do it. That blue is going to cause a problem, right? Maybe we should have a red character. But we could, it's a lot easier to edit that here. We can just come back over to our sprite. Then this, hit edit image, and just grab like red and fill it in. Notice I haven't hit save yet. It's constantly saving. It automatically saves all the way through. So there's a save button up here, but I haven't bothered to click it. And we went for a while, took a break, and now we've done more stuff. And you can see that as soon as it was made red, that changed. There's our game. Our character's going to jump between platforms. It's not really a game yet. It's our moving images so that y'all have a starting point to click around with and do stuff and get familiar with, kind of look at the options and see what you can put together. I would highly, highly recommend that. Before you start looking at the GameMaker tutorials, just start clicking around and see what you can figure out on your own. Don't spend forever on that. Don't spend 3 weeks doing that. But spend a couple hours and see what you can do before looking anything up. Just using the hover text and the icons and what you think the words would do. See what you can put together. So now I think our player can handle most of this stuff. So we go to the player. Okay. If it's a platform, we probably don't really need to be moving up and down, do we? Unclose those and I'm going to delete those W keys. That was just a quick example. Because if it's a platformer, up and down is going to be handled by gravity and jumping, right? So gravity, there's a couple ways to do it. I'll go with a create event. And when we create, we can set a speed. In this case, we only need a vertical speed, right? This is gravity. So we're only concerned about the vertical direction. And the reason, think about a right triangle. The legs of the triangle are shorter than the hypotenuse. So if we said move 1 pixel each time, and we do that on a diagonal, we're going at a different speed than if we were going straight horizontal, straight vertical. So it handles the trigonometry for that. I don't know. Let's set -3. Does that sound like a good speed? Not sure. Or it could be negative, could be maybe we need +3. Let's see what that oh yeah, we have the direction. So instead of -3, which would work, let's do 3 in the downward direction. So as soon as the game starts, we start moving down. We should see that now. Run and check every chance you get. So we didn't stop when we hit the platform, but there's our gravity. Yep. So
do we not create collision for our character or something?
Not yet. That's what we need to do. So we'll come back over here and run a check every chance you get. Right? Don't do 50 things and then hope they work when you hit the run button. If you can check every single thing and you hit a bug, you know exactly what. Right? Think of it like a script. If you can run a test every line of code, when you hit a bug, you know exactly which line of code that bug had to have come from. Because there's only been one since the last check. So let's set a collision for objects. So we're on the player object. So we're worried about when we can collide with the platform, right? When we collide with the platform, we can set our vertical speed to 0. Now our player should fall until it hits the.
This under player.
What's that?
I said that's just right there.
Yes.
I made the platform, but I forgot how to make it like an object.
Oh,
It's not.
okay. So after you get the sprite, you want to right click and create an object, and that'll give you these little panels, and then you'll set the sprite for that object.
I do recall there's something about physics.
Mhm. Yeah, there is a gravity checkbox. I just thought I'd manually code it. You'll see the checkbox for gravity whenever you get to it. That makes it a lot easier. That makes platformers a lot easier. Did you find it, Gabe? So yeah, that's what we'll do with every single thing. We make an image, which is just the graphics, and then we create an object, which is the events and the physics. Oh yeah, we can see it from this list down at the bottom of the thing, the events and the physics, and then other things that we will get to later if time allows. But events and physics are what we really need. So they're separate from our graphics themselves. Did that work for you?
Yeah.
All right, so when we create our thing, it starts falling down. If it hits the platform, it stops falling down. I guess we need some left and right movement, right?
And a space bar. Just do it.
I was gonna do A and D, I guess is normal movement.
Whoever jumping.
Whatever key we want to do. We do a left click and mouse, left and right mouse buttons, and then move your mouse up for the jump.
On it. Yeah.
However you want to control your thing. There's lots of different ways we can set up the controls. I'm just going to go with the key press. So key press, well, left and right arrows, shift, space, enter. I'm going to use A and D. So key press A, key press D, and that'll get us our left and right movement. Which is kind of the same thing. So if we press A, we want to set our horizontal, which one? Oh, I'm on D. So our horizontal to, I don't know, 4. I'm just guessing a number. And then we can set our direction to the right. If we press A, it's kind of the opposite. Set the speed to 4. But the direction will go to the left. Does this seem easier than scripting?
It's very similar to
Yeah. The visual ones are what we use most often. All of our major game engines have it, and it's a big deal when they don't. So like Godot made a better one, but it wasn't going to be backward compatible. So Godot 4 is skipping the visual scripting so that there's that gap, and backward compatibility never becomes an issue. And it compiles to the same machine language as writing it in a script. So now we should be able to fall to the platform, move left and right. Right. Oh, we don't stop moving. The collision didn't stop, right? So we need to stop moving, which is what we saw earlier. Add event, and our key is released. We release the A key. Key up. There's D. Then we can set our horizontal speed to 0. And key up A. All of those events are nice little tabs there. So things are nicely organized. We're about to run out of room for our tabs, so if you close them, so like if I close this key up A, I can just double click on it here and that will open the tab back up. That's going to fit with when you're doing stuff. So you should be able to fall to the platform with left and right. But we don't fall when we get off the platform again.
Should we do like if it's not colliding?
There's a couple options.
We get to jump.
Collision with our object is we do that. What might be the best way to do this?
I think maybe if you don't collide with it.
The problem with it is it. Didn't somebody say there was an actual gravity button or something?
Yeah, I said.
Yeah, there's some we could keep it moving the whole time. So the problem is that we're stopping the speed. We probably don't want that to happen, right? So what should happen when we hit the platform? That way gravity is still going on.
How do you
Turn off a direction instead of speed. Did y'all hear? That's what Austin just said. There's a checkbox somewhere. I can't remember what's that. I would have to look for it. I think under physics. Density, resolution, collision group. I don't see it there.
Could be the money.
We use physics. There's a checkbox somewhere that just automatically creates gravity. So now there's friction, so I can't move against it. So those are colliding.
Is friction check maybe?
There's also this checkbox for solid. Let's try that. So instead of collision, so right now the collision.
but make both it and the platform solid? Maybe.
And there's more than one way to do this. Make the platform solid. Let's see what this does. That's how we learn, right? Ask those questions. What else can we do?
So use physics didn't make it fall.
I unchecked use physics.
Oh.
Because if we use physics, it's gonna make friction.
We can adjust the friction under the physics button.
Yes. And there are lots of fine grained controls. And this guy up. I can see it fall. If he falls, we get over here and he should start falling again.
The problem is if we don't collide it, like, cause it's already up there. So I can. Like, it won't do it, I'm thinking. We don't collide. Right here. Sing it.
So
Trying to split it.
because the speed, nothing stops the speed now. There should still be a downward speed every time. So colliding with that doesn't do anything. Why didn't it do that. Let me,
When I try to preview it, I just get a black screen. I think just like with the pie maker, my laptop's not able to. I don't know.
let me try to use physics and solid there and use physics here.
If you go under the physics thing, you can put friction down. That might be.
Oh, I don't notice what happened. As soon as I move left and right, it stops falling.
So you playing with left and right here.
So left and right are trying to throw it off. So I'm gonna uncheck that. Yeah, there's adjustments for the friction. You'd want to adjust the friction value. That way you don't have to come to a sudden stop. Y'all will definitely want to play around with that as time allows. So I'm gonna make this solid. And no matter what, so it's not just, we don't want to just do gravity once. That's not quite enough, right? We set gravity, and then when we move left and right, it basically shut gravity off. So maybe instead of doing that at the beginning, if we right click, we can change, right click on it, you can change the type of event. I mean, that should happen at every step of the game.
As long as you're stepping.
At the end of the step, that way we've already moved left and right, then gravity applies again. So make sure it's not relative. If we check the relative box, that would be more realistic gravity where it's an acceleration. But for our simple example, we'll just have it falling down at a speed of 3. I think that'll fix it. And there's going to be back and forth things here, right? It's like logic. Okay, it keeps. I think it's because that's not continuing on. Maybe I want that to be a key down so it would keep going. But eventually it gets over here. And there it went. I'll deal with that in a moment. I'm going to keep tapping it. And at this point, our game should end or restart, right? So we'll need an event for that. That's probably
Since your objective is
under other. Notice there's outside of room. That's what happens when we go past the bottom of the screen, right? So if we go outside of the room, there should be a restart option here. Oh, there it is. Way down at the bottom, you'll see rooms. They're not in alphabetical order, right? C, R, P, T. So you will want to scroll down. Maybe if I move this up a little so you can see the whole window. Looks like that scroll bar is about 2/3 of the way down. It's way down there, but there's rooms. And go to a different room. Go to the next room if they're in order. So when we make them, they're going to fall in a certain order. First room, second room, third room. They have a natural order. Jump to a specific one. Go to the previous room. Restart our current room. That probably works.
What sort of event is this?
So this is under player outside room event. I can scroll left.
you get to click off of it.
There. Yes. So player, there's an outside room event. So when we fall off the bottom of the screen, because the one I put here, there's not a platform to reach the left or right side, and I don't think we're going to be high enough when we work our jump in. So we need that left and right to keep moving, right? At the end of the step, we set our vertical speed to what it was. Change the event. Maybe it's key down that I want. Let me switch that to a key down.
Because if you keep it down, you keep like everything else.
Yeah, maybe I got my labels mixed up. Yes. So I want the 8, I went down instead of pressed. So key press D, you can right click and change that to key down D.
Figure that out.
Yes, there's a back and forth. You'll want to try things. That's how we learn. Oh, that's a bit too fast, but
I guess if he zooms or something.
kind of works. So let's try a speed remember, so key down, 4 is way too fast. Let's try 2. Key down 2.
When the other down was
So we were, yeah, if the other one's 3, then we're moving a little bit slower to gravity. This is left and right. So 3, what you just said, 3 is gravity. That's still really fast. I let off the key at the right around the end of the thing, and it went halfway across the screen still. So that's probably like 1 or something less than 1. 0.3. Mm-hmm.
That's
0.3. And just try some different numbers till we find the one that works. Okay, I said something's wrong because I'm apparently not moving the right one. So let me close all these so I can tell which one I'm looking at. Key down A, key down B, 0.3.
Your speed is 0.
Yep. Oh, restarted it. I scrolled down here to get to that thing. And restart the room and go outside. 0.3. Maybe I just want direction. 0.3. See what that does. But they're both consistent now.
So,
That's way too slow.
better, but
So just a matter of honing in on a number. I was expecting it to be 2, so maybe whatever I had going on there. That's a little bit more like what I was thinking too. So there's some little changes, and when we go past there, we restart the room. Might want some sort of graphical thing to see we restart the room, but y'all have seen how to add graphics in there. You just do outside a room and then maybe throw up an extra little temporary sprite that just has some words that says game over or something. Or try again. What's left? Jump. I wanted to get finished by 3:15. That way you all have lots of time to click around and do stuff. That's how we learn it. What do you think? Spacebar. So there's our key down and key press.
if you want.
Do we want to keep jumping?
No.
So we only want to press it once, or actually on the up. Can be down or up.
If it were on the up, you would hold the key down until you want to jump, and once you release it, it would spring.
That can be useful in some game settings. That's a lot more useful in the ones where you swing and decide when to let go of your rope.
Or if you are have a charging effect.
Mm.
You know, if you hold it, if you have some holding it down makes you have a farther jump or whatever.
Nice. And that or in there kind of indicates that that depends on the game you're making, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go with the simple press for the space bar. And when that happens, we will set our Yeah. So speed to like 5, because it needs to be more than gravity, right? And our direction up. Oh, 5's not enough.
What is gravity right now?
3.
Maybe 10?
I don't know. Is gravity do
Not yeah, the jump speed 10. Not gravity.
like stuck?
It's barely jumping, right?
You have one input of 10 force up and constant 3 force down, I guess.
Yeah. So it's resetting.
I guess when it starts going back down is when it in stepping, like when it's getting the end, and then
At the end of the game.
overrides the 10 and forces it down at 3.
So we would need some selection structures in there, right? Things that y'all can kind of play around with. Let's see. This is where we would probably come into variable. So if we set a variable, when we press this, let's delete this, and we'll set a variable called jumping. And 0, so 0 and 1 for true and false. So if we press our key, we'll make it 1 for false, for true. And then in our end of step, we can check that. So there's that if. So if jumping is equal to 0, we'll do all of this stuff. But if it's not, I'll drag that over. Oh, I think I put it in the wrong spot. Just on this side. Let's scroll out a little. The way it sets up looks kind of funny, but notice the blue is the true path and the green is the false path. That's not the way I would set those images up. I would have kind of done a Y off, so we could clearly see which one's which. But once you see it, it's once we know how they set it up. We'll set our speed to 10 in the upward direction. Let's see what this does. So now it's gravity or jumping. Oh, 10 is probably way too high then. Support that right. So the problem is we check this variable, we don't create that until we jump. So we need that variable. So add event, find create. Let's make a variable. We'll make that variable jumping and set it equal to 0 here. So now on the first frame, we should have a variable jumping that we can check. Gravity works. Well, then I'll reset. We press the space. We set jumping equal to 1. And if jumping
So blue is if the statement is true.
yes. Why did it not jump? I'm gonna make that a smaller number.
Don't have, I think that's awesome. Yeah, like, create if they.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, okay, no. Look, if it's that,
Oh, so it's doing it twice.
yeah, so then this stuff should actually be down here in the else, which I can't quite get to. Cut that and paste it here. Oh wait, I think I've got that backwards. No.
That's true.
Maybe the green is true. I want the green each time. So like this would go way up here. And get to this one would go down here. And this
How are you
one-
able to move them like out more the way you're doing this? Like I'm just, I can change where they are in relation to each other, but it.
So I just grabbed this one and drag it up here. Maybe this is the picture I want. Oh. If you can't see it, it's apparently hard to do that. You should be able to drag the things around. Or is that not getting shorter? Oh, well, not gonna let that get any shorter. But now we have that if else structure, and then if it's 0, we do this, otherwise we do this. That's not what I did last year when I taught the class. But let's see if that worked.
So, real quick question. You're able to space your boxes, your icons out a lot, like when you were in the programming area.
Uh-huh.
On mine, they are snapping like directly next to each other in that. Like I can't force them to move around or
Yeah, I'm not really sure when I did that, and it won't seem to go back to it now. So they spaced out, and now they're snapping to the spaced out. So click around, try different things. It could be something like, what's this one? Create fit. Nope. I'm not sure what I did to get that to do that. Oh, don't do that. Yeah, I'm not sure what I did again, and it won't do it again. That's the sort of thing you want to play around with. So now it does that, but we want to stop jumping somewhere along the way, right? I mean, that is not what I did for NFL's last year's. When I taught the class last fall, I used the green and the blue, and that didn't work. And more than one way to do it. Probably should have done this at least once since last fall to remind myself how to do it. But same thing. We'll stop that when we release the space bar. To key press, we set it to jump. Maybe we should do key down, and then we just hold that until we get high enough, and then release it, and then we stop jumping. That makes sense. Kind of like the left and right movement. There's different ones. We're just introducing it here. You all will want to try different things. So put a key down for the space so it jumps while we're holding it. And then when there's a key up for the space, we can set that variable called jumping back to 0 or false. hopefully give us a way to jump between things. It's probably not the best platform movement, but
This is more akin to flatbird at this point.
there we go. So we can jump to different heights. Moving to the right, jump. Not very smooth movement. There's probably some booleans for that jumping left and right would make a big difference. Eventually fall off the screen. Y'all will want to play around with that. Try to find some things. Try putting a variable like we did for jumping on moving left and right. That's where friction really comes in. We use physics and the friction. Whenever we start going to the right, we keep going to the right until friction stops us. Actually, we could probably do that. Let's see if this works. Delete that. Delete that. Now we don't have any way to stop. Hit use physics, and the friction should stop us. Maybe. Nope, that's still not quite working the same. So I'm gonna undo that and undo. And you do have to select the box before undo will work. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, because I set it as a variable. But try setting it as a variable. That at least gets us our images on the screen and a quick introduction to events. And right now we have, oh, it's 5 minutes longer than I meant today. A little less than an hour and a half in our scheduled block time. So right now your schedule should say learn game development. So it's a great time to sit here and or home or wherever you're comfortable and try some little adjustments on that and get used to this. But in general, does that seem a lot easier than Pygame? Do you see how we'll be able? We don't necessarily need the example as much. So that showed a few basic parts. Just start playing around with it. That's the best way to learn with this one. We can do it with this, right? We can't randomly type stuff in a Python script until we type Pygame. So the GUIs have big advantages like that. This one is clearly labeled. It's easy to work with. But that at least got our thing on there, the image on there, moving around. There is a way to get from one platform to the next.
As of right now, the way we have it set up, it's more akin to those games like Flappy Bird, where you press the key to go up or let go to drop.
Yes. So like if there was a storyline coming in here, this should maybe not be platformer and call those islands in the ocean. Get rid of those big white spots and say we have islands in the ocean and make that look like a boat. That would kind of fit. Because then like a sailboat, we have to turn the sail in order to turn left and right. We can turn the boat around. Some weird movement. There's lots of things we can do with it. I got the images on the screen and started looking at how we set up events. Every single icon, all those icons, they've spent decades on those, so they're fairly obvious, but they also have hover text on all of them. That's how we learned that. Does anybody have any questions about the starting off point? See head shaking here. I'll give it like 5 seconds. That way there's time for anyone on Zoom call to reach the unmute button. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. We have an hour and 20 minutes left in our scheduled block of time, so it's a good time to start clicking around, see if you can get some better movement. Or another alternative would be to switch those images out for something that movement would make sense for, and see what you can do. Collision with something that would stop you. Black holes. Oh, spaceship. Okay, good for spaceship movement. Say those are planets, and then throw some black holes in there that you have to avoid, or asteroids. Make some platforms move so it's like asteroids that can slam into your ship. That's another option. But play around with it. That's how we learn it. It's an active subject. We learn by doing. I'll make sure there's plenty of time to do. I'm just going to be sitting here waiting for questions to come my way if you have them. And actually, I said before 50. I'm sitting around at 6 o'clock. I'm doing the annual observation on one of the adjuncts. So I'm just going to be sitting around my office until 6 o'clock. So if you have any questions, let me know. Remember, there's that advising event tomorrow. If you want to stop by that, talk to one of the faculty advisors, academic advisors, career coach, or just enjoy some free pizza. I ordered, don't know how many people are going to show up. I ordered 4 pizzas for each event. So hopefully that'll, bare nose pizzas, so good pizzas too. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, y'all have a great afternoon. And I will see you on Wednesday and we'll do more GameMaker stuff.